Welcome to this week's episode of Tracking the Wolves with your voice of the Wolves. That's me, Ben Root. Let's look back at how the action went down last week in Northern sports. First up on the gridiron, the Wolves bounced back nicely from their struggles in Winona with an impressive performance against Concordia University St. Paul Saturday as they hibernated those Golden Bears on offense, 31-7 the final. The offense for the CU squad had put 49 on the board against Duluth the prior week, but this time around, only 195 yards of offense against your Wolves defense, while NSU piled up 439 yards on their side. Three different Wolves had 17 carries in the win. Christian McIlvain, quarterback, led the way with 157 yards on his 17 totes. Also scored a touchdown. Nick Truan with 87 yards and a score as well. McIlvain also threw for 128 yards and a couple TDs, one each for Connor Doherty and Taylor Houchin. Defensively, Teno Lopez got his first interception as a Wolf, and Chad Stotero forced and recovered a fumble, and for good measure added in a 21-yard reception on a fake field goal attempt as well on the day. Wolves volleyball team, meanwhile, had a 2-1 week, starting things off with a nice win over Moorhead in straight sets on Tuesday. They then split the weekend contest with a couple of top 15 teams. On Tuesday, in that victory against the Dragons, Wolves had 14 kills and 7 digs from Lauren McCafferty to help the Dragons help them knock off the Dragons in straight sets. Then Friday, Augustana handed Northern their first NSIC loss of the year in a 4-set match that actually saw NSU score more points and hit better overall. Wolves saw true freshman Jenna Reef pile up a career-high 20 kills in the match. Holly Vancura had 13 and McCafferty with a dozen. Vancura also with a career-high 29 digs. On Saturday, though, NSU had bounced back nicely with a 4-set win over 4th-ranked Wayne State. Vancura led the squad with 16 kills and 16 digs. Tori Biach cracked the floor 13 times, Kelly Schmidt with 12, and Jenna Reef put it down 10 times. True freshman Jaden Langley, meanwhile, racked up a career-high 27 digs in that triumph. It was a rough weekend on the pitch, though, for Northern soccer this past week. In St. Cloud on Friday, NSU dropped a 2-1 decision at the Huskies' place. Anna Bondi tied the game on an assist from Allison Bird, but St. Cloud would answer with the winning goal. Ladies only gave up 1 goal in the Sunday contest against Duluth. The problem, though, the offense unable to find the back of the net against the Bulldogs' defense in a 1-0 shutout. Last but not least, cross-country teams trekked through some very muddy conditions in St. Paul Saturday in the annual Roy Griak Invite. NSU guys ended up in 35th place, while the women ended up in the 19th spot. Clay Danielson led the Wolves men, taking 149th, and for the ladies, Dakotah Bulle was stellar, taking 8th place overall. Also in the top 100 for the women was Paige Larson. She finished in 80th place. That's a look at last week's action for the Maroon and Gold. We'll talk some Northern cross-country action in just a moment on this edition of Track the Wolves.
Being part of a great team means you know your role and you work your role to the best of your ability. If you're consistently going to show up and be your best, you're going to be part of that team. You can see the success they have over time. It's not just 1 year flash in the pan. It's consistent success over time, which makes them great. And that's where the work ethic comes in. The ability to come into work, do the same thing repeatedly day after day after day, and putting your best foot forward is going to separate you from the rest.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to Track the Wolves and focusing on cross-country on this week's edition of the program. Ben Root here, joined by a couple of the vets on the squad here, talking to Adam Leach and Dakotah Bulle joining us on this week's show. Thanks for coming on, you two.
Thanks.
Big weekend this past weekend, always a big event, the Roy Griak Invite. Dakotah, you had a great showing out there, finishing in the top 10, and I guess what's your final trip out there, being a senior and all. It's kind of a little bittersweet to know you're not going to be out there running in the mud again.
Yeah, it definitely is. It was my 9th time running it, and my goal was to be top 10, so I'm pretty happy to finish where I did.
Now 9 times running it, people are wondering, holy smokes, you've been in college a long time. It's a lot of college and high schools that go out there too. Was this your best finish, I guess, throughout all those times, or?
Oh, by far it was.
So a nice finish there, and you're from St. Francis. Is that like right in the Twin City area?
Just north, about an hour.
Okay. So a little bit outside of there, just north of the Twin Cities. And the conditions this year, like I mentioned, the mud, was this about as much rain as you can remember having out there in the worst conditions, or how would you describe it?
It was definitely the worst conditions. It was fun. You're about ankle deep in mud about the whole time, so.
Do you do anything differently with that kind of situation, different shoes or anything like that?
No, I tried to stay to the outside of the course where the girls weren't typically running, but you couldn't really avoid too much of it, so.
So some pretty muddy conditions out there. Adam was not able to run in it this year, but you've been out to the GRIAC as well before. How many times have you been out there? Just once, or?
I've raced it probably twice so far during college. Yeah, it just seems every year, like no matter what, during GRIAC weekend, it's going to be rainy, it's going to be muddy. So you just got to prepare and do what you can.
And just tons of people, like I mentioned, high school and colleges out there. Is it just different than everything else because there's so many people? Is it kind of difficult to deal with, or?
Well, the hard part is by the time the D2 men's and women's go, probably at least 3 or 4 races have already gone through there. So they kind of they mix it up for us, make it a little bit more interesting by the later races. So yeah.
Do they switch the course? Is that what you mean there? Or?
No, the course stays the same, and that's kind of what makes it difficult. Is everyone running on that same spot? The divots get deeper, the mud gets muddier, and by the time we get to go through, it's quite a mess.
It's there at a golf course there. I'm imagining maybe they should give some free golf afterwards, I suppose.
Yeah, the course is owned by U of M. I don't know if any other course in their right mind would let their course get that destroyed, but thankfully they put it on because it's a great race.
Now, you weren't able to run due to, I guess, a foot injury here. How's that feeling today, and do you think you're going to be all right going forward here?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's more of a precautionary thing, just making sure. I'd rather take 2 or 3 days off now and stay healthy rather than have to, take a month off from injury. So, yeah, things are looking good. I'm excited for the rest of the season.
So kind of playing it safe there. And, Dakotah, you're always, often at least we hear about you and Sasha kind of hand in hand last couple of years. Last year, both got to go to the national event, which was really cool. Do you have any? And we haven't talked to Coach Bierke. We'll talk to him on Wolves Midweek this week on our program. But is she kind of in the same situation? Do you know, or is she going to be back out there, or what's her health situation?
Well, she's taking quite a few days off of running now, and she's just barely getting her foot back in the door. And hopefully, we have her back by the conference and regions meet. She's trying to get back as quickly as possible. So. Well,
with the way you ran, and obviously, like I said, a top 10 finish, best time for the ladies for Northern. It wasn't really a pack, which we talk about a lot with Coach Bierke. Is it tougher to run out there when you know you're kind of solo by yourself? You don't have Sasha to maybe kind of team up and have that pack mentality?
Yeah, she's definitely one of my best friends. So having her in the race is always a help, and having just a teammate in front of you to look forward to is nice. But I was able to survive without her, but I guess I can't wait to have her back.
Well, you did well out there. With some of the other folks out there, for either Adam, when you don't have maybe a teammate there to kind of help pick you up, do you ever kind of drift off of another runner that you don't know or what have you, and try and use them to help you out?
Yeah, sometimes you can pick out people who look like they're running well that particular day, and if you can latch on to someone who's looks like they're at the right pace, it can help a lot. Even if it's not a teammate, just another body there to keep you mentally in check helps quite a bit.
So, yours truly, I'd be, not trying to go with somebody faster. I'd be looking for the slowest person, just in case I passed out. That'd be my plan, but that's a whole other story. You guys are both getting closer and closer to graduation. Adam, I think you're 4th-year junior, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. What's the plan as far as graduation, and what are you majoring in?
Well, I'm majoring in sports marketing and administration in my 4th year of academics. Hopefully I can come back for a 5th year if I can stretch my credits far enough. I'd love to compete, and any chance to get to compete during college is amazing. So, I think I'd like to stretch out as far as possible. So
any plans post-graduation right now as far as what you'd like to do?
I'm definitely going to try to go to grad school. The area of sports I want to try to get into, any collegiate or professional sports marketing, you need a graduate degree. So I'm going to go that route, but I don't know where yet. So we'll see where that goes.
Well, good luck here in the not-too-distant future for the next hopefully another year in there, like you said. Dakotah, You're a senior as well. What's your kind of plans over the next little bit here as far as graduation and the like?
Well, I'll graduate next December with my biology education degree, so hopefully I can try to get some substitute teaching in after that and hopefully get into a high school.
Well, sounds good, and good luck the rest of the season, you two. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Adam Leach and Dakotah Bulle here joining us on Tracking the Wolves. We'll check the upcoming schedule for the Wolves, which will be right here in town, as a matter of fact, as part of Gypsy Days. Coming up.
NCAA championships are something special.
Filled with memories we will carry with us for the rest of our lives.
We ask that you cheer hard for your institutions.
Acting responsibly and courteously towards those around you.
In the spirit of sportsmanship, enjoy the game, and let's provide our student athletes, coaches, officials, and fellow fans the respect they deserve.
Welcome back to Tracking the Wolves. Let's check the upcoming slate of contests for your Northern squads. Another busy week of action for your Wolves, starting with a trip to Southwest Minnesota State's Place in Marshall, Minnesota this Friday for your Northern volleyball team. They'll follow that up with a road contest against University of Sioux Falls this Saturday. Soccer team is also loading up the bus this weekend. They'll visit Wayne State College coming up on Saturday and then travel to Augustana's Place on Sunday. Right here in the Hub City, though, it is time for the 101st Gypsy Days celebration. Cross-country teams will celebrate with their annual Steps for Shep event coming up on Saturday morning, and the football squad brings in Minot State that afternoon. Kickoff at 2:30, and I'll have the call at ESPN 1420, 1071, and ESPNaberdeen.com. Of course, other events will go on with Gypsy Days during the week as well. If you'd like that full slate of related events, just check out the website northern.edu. That's going to do it for this episode of Tracking the Wolves. To keep up to date on all the latest Northern sports, join me again right here next week. And until then, as always, go Wolves.